All right, I've got some insight for you if you're gonna be a hopeful home buyer in the 2022 market. Over the last 16 years, I've been involved in hundreds and hundreds of residential real estate transactions. The housing market is always changing, but unlike the stock market, real estate trends develop pretty slowly. The seller's market we have today has been steadily morphing into what it is now since about 2014. The supply shortage has been developing over a much longer period of time, yet somehow it came in fairly undetected. Now, let's add a bunch of stimulus money to the mix and ridiculously low interest rates while millennials, which is the largest generation in the USA, are in their peak home buying years. Needless to say, these factors have us looking at market conditions that are completely unmatched in history. It is important to understand what to expect if you're a buyer in this market, and that's what today's video is about. My name is Ben Murphy. I operate first and foremost as a realtor and also as a real estate investor, predominantly in the suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio. My goal here is to bring you valuable real estate information, and it will be a heck of a lot easier for you to receive it if you hit the subscribe button. My market has been similar to most housing markets in the US, which consists of higher demand than supply. So lesson number one is see now, buy now. In economics, when any supply is significantly lower than the demand, the price of the supply goes up. As you have surely heard from anyone who has bought in the last year or two, they had to contend with multiple offers, houses are sold within the first 24 hours, and many of them are selling above asking price. For those of you who are just researching this for the first time, multiple offers is when the seller of a home has two or more offers to choose from at the same time. Your only way of reducing the chances of getting involved in a multiple offer scenario is to act quickly and aggressively. If you love the house but want to sleep on it, you're just holding the door open for others to take advantage of an opportunity which you might be squandering away. Now, if you aren't sold on the home, don't force it. I would never advocate you to make an irrational decision out of the fear of missing out. But if your decision-making abilities require a night of sleep, you'd be wise to work to adjust that habit. Running through the motions with your realtor and getting the nitty-gritty details on the process of making an offer, as well as all the terms and money and timelines involved, is a good place to start. Learn the process, understand the process, and ultimately, this should make it easier for you to act quickly when it's necessary to do so. Second lesson, don't see a new listing if you can't justify the asking price. Houses are selling for the most money and the fastest when they are priced right from the beginning. This will usually result in less than 72 hours of market time, and typically the first offer arrives within the first 12 hours. If you love the house, but you know that no matter what, you wouldn't pay the asking price or at least very close to it, you should probably do yourself and your agent a favor by just waiting on it, let it sit there for at least a week, get some market exposure. This is unless there's a good reason to believe that the seller has flexibility in their price. Even so, if you're looking at a home that has just hit the market, if that price can be justified at all, it will probably have a decent offer or a very aggressive offer on it. Probably is going to have both. Yes, the argument can be made that you'll never know unless you try, but understand this is my observation that I have made through experience, and this is why this is my best general advice. There will always be situations that prove general advice to be the wrong advice because there are many factors that can instantly and completely change the scenario. But generally, this advice is best, and I follow it myself when I am looking to purchase properties. It would be incredibly easy for me to write up an offer for myself at, let's say, 10% less than the asking price of a new listing, but I assess it from the computer, and if it doesn't make sense or it isn't really close to making sense to me at the asking price, I'm just going to place it on a watch list and move on with my day. I may revisit that property once I feel it likely that an opportunity for flexibility in the price exists, and even then, I'll try to get a pulse on the situation from the listing agent before I take time to go and visit the property. So lesson 3, let's understand that an offer over asking price doesn't mean you're overpaying for the home. Yes, it's true, I do see homes sell every day for prices that I would not have recommended to my own buyers, but I also see good deals on a regular basis. Many of the homes that I list for sale, I list them intentionally at a price which will bring multiple offers and generate a sale above my asking price. As listing agents, we love multiple offers. It brings out the best price and terms just by the disclosure of multiple offers and by the request for highest and best. I'm usually still going to fine-tune the best offer in some way, shape, or form, and there are many ways that I negotiate the best terms for my sellers before the offers are finalized. So as a buyer, you should be aware of this. If the home is in the same price point as all the other homes you've seen, but it stands out as being head and shoulders above the rest, you'd be foolish to believe that all you need to do is pay the asking price to secure that as your new home. Remember that there are plenty of other buyers who will recognize the value as well. By reviewing the sale prices of the comps, which are the properties that are sold within the last 6 or 12 months that were similar in size, style, condition, and location to the one that you want to make an offer on, Now you can easily begin to justify the maximum price that you are willing to pay for the home while having a sense of understanding that you are not overpaying. Ask your agent to send these comps to you. If the house has an X factor that the comps don't have, don't lose sight of that. That X factor probably has some significant value and may be extremely hard to replace. This by itself, or a combination of other advantages, may make it more valuable to you than the comps and could provoke you to bid higher than the comps that you are reviewing. Don't think that in this market you're just going to get something for free. Even in a buyer's market where homes predominantly sell for less than the asking price, there are homes that will sell above the asking price as well. I myself have paid asking price and more in buyer's markets and in this seller's market. I have made profits on every single one of them, whether I've bought it to live in or flip or keep as a rental. So again, do not get tripped up on how much more than the asking price you might be offering. Focus on what the comps and the other sales in the neighborhood have been in order to establish the actual value. Lesson 4. Extreme value exists in the move-in ready home. Consider paying for that. The price discount for defects in a home has lessened greatly. A structural defect in a home is a big and expensive problem. It still allows the largest discount, but it's not what it was in years past, and most people don't want to deal with it. More commonly, and for the sake of this lesson, the type of defects a home have in the eyes of a buyer would be everything between a lack of cosmetic upgrades and simply having a very old roof or windows and or mechanicals. As for a lack of cosmetic upgrades, this discount is almost completely gone. Now you won't and you shouldn't pay the same money for a house that looks like 1962 versus the one that looks like 2020, but if you need to do $40,000 of upgrades to make the 60s house look like the 2020 house, you may only get the 60s styled home for $40,000 less than the one renovated in 2020. In most cases though, I would say that the buyer would actually spend more on their improvements than the discount that they got up front unless they do some upgrades themselves or pay less than average rate for labor. When weighing out this decision, you need to assess your lifestyle, your needs, your budget, and your cash on hand. Currently, to finance an extra $40,000 over 30 years, you're paying about $180 a month for it. That's $2,160 a year, which means it'll take you about 18 and a half years to hit $40,000 spent out of pocket. This is why since about 2016, I have been a huge advocate of buying the move-in ready property so long as your budget allows for it. You'll probably never get rid of the desire to spend less money up front, but spending more can be justified when you take a look at the amount of time and energy that you are saving and the lifestyle that you get to enjoy by not signing yourself up to remodel the house that you're going to be living in. If you have the means to get a home rehabbed before moving into it and that is of interest to you, I can still get behind that because heck, I've been doing that myself. If you're just super particular about what you want or have the means to get the job done for much less than the average, your best deal will be found in the home that needs more than cosmetic upgrades because those additional items like the roof or the waterproofing are the reasons why the other buyers can't or won't compete. These are situations where you may be able to build decent equity even in this market. Just keep in mind that factoid about financing. On a 30-year mortgage, every $10,000 borrowed represents about $40 to $45 per month, which means between 18 and 19 years in the future is when your monthly payment meets your cash out-of-pocket savings. If you want to nerd out further into these numbers or scenarios, I would recommend Carl's Mortgage Calculator, which is a free app that I use for myself and for my buyer clients. In summary, borrowing money is cheap. I suggest that you use it to your advantage. Lesson 5, and the last lesson here, don't lose track of what is important. The golden rule of real estate is location, location, location. The ideal location always holds value, and this is largely in part why there are certain neighborhoods that hold higher values than others. If this property is one that you plan to live in for 20 years or more and you can't afford the move-in ready option, you really should focus on location and square footage above everything else. It is not cheap to add square footage by way of an addition, and although it's possible, it's pretty unlikely you're not going to pick up and move your home. If you're looking at the potential of a suitably sized home in the right location that is not move-in ready, you need to have a good understanding of what it will cost to remodel. If you have the right space and the right number of bathrooms or an area where one can be added and this home is in the right location, you can rest assured that the improvements you make to transform this home into what you need or desire will pay off in the future. Of course, transforming a home takes additional capital, but in the grand scheme of things, it is probably not a true immediate necessity to have that additional bathroom or finished basement or your dream kitchen. These things can come over time as your earnings and savings schedule allows. You don't have the same opportunity if you have not set yourself up in a good position in the first place. I think too much of our society thinks they need what they want. You can get what you need even if it isn't yet the way you actually want it. No matter what you decide, be sure to be smart, be persistent, and subscribe to my channel. I hope this video has given you some valuable insight, and I wish you well on your search for a new home.